Pitt women's volleyball. Changes happen, but they just keep rolling. Number 4 to open the season. And they're coming off a weekend where they beat, let's see here. Who'd they beat, Limits?
Number 3, Kentucky.
Yeah.
In 4 sets.
And now they have number 15, Kansas, coming in on Friday. And then Wisconsin, number 6 on Sunday for the opening Spike tournament. Those games are at the Pitt before the team moves over to the new facility, Victory Heights. So all good things happening. And the coach of Pitt women's volleyball, Dan Fisher, joins us now. Dan, how you doing? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing quite well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So as I said, the beat goes on here despite, lots of change with personnel and things like that. Does this have a chance to be your best team yet?
I definitely believe it does. You don't want to compare to other years, but I guess it's easy to compare to last year just because it's fresh in my mind. And we are ahead of where we were at this point last year in almost every single category.
Wow. Well, I guess we start with your team with Olivia Babcock. And we were just talking during the last segment and the break. She must have an argument as the greatest college volleyball player ever, does she?
I mean, I would think, her career's not over, and that's not for me to say, but I think she's, by the time it's all said and done, is definitely going to be in the conversation.
Who else is in that conversation, in your humble opinion?
Well, I mean, you'd have to go back because there's, Penn State had some runs where they won a lot of championships, and there's some of those players. You could probably talk about Misty May at Long Beach. And Stanford had, Catherine Plummer a few years ago. That was, there's some others, but like I said, she's, certainly from start freshman year to now, to start out as National Freshman of the Year, then back-to-back Player of the Years is pretty darn impressive.
Man, I'll say, and we've also had conversations here, is she the best college athlete, period, from Pittsburgh? And I'm sure we'll have more of those conversations, especially if she wins Player of the Year again as a 2-time back-to-back National Player of the Year. How does she expand her game? What have you noticed? The great ones, I think back to Magic Johnson, he would come back the next year and suddenly he can shoot 3-pointers. How has Olivia expanded her game?
Well, it's just that. It's, you just, as good as she is, we know the areas that she's weaker in, and we train it. And so, her freshman year, she wasn't a strong defender. She is now. She's back to the jump top spin, and so she's, working to make that a real weapon. And she's better at hitting, in different zones on the court. And so she's worked on all those things, but I think probably now the biggest challenge is just, like it is for any great player, is just the consistency. And I think you're going to see a very, very consistent Olivia Babcock this year.
Dan, you bring Izzy Stark over from Penn State, National Freshman of the Year 2 years ago. What's it been like having her in the fold, and how talented of a player is she?
She is physically the most talented setter, that I've ever coached. She's, we did a jump touch, and she touched 10.6.5. So, that's at least dunking a tennis ball. So I don't know that we've ever had a setter that's a good jump touch for a hitter. So she's able to get the balls quickly, and, passes that go over the net, she can intercept them and also be a force offensively at the net too. So yeah, she's in terms of what she brings physically, she's the real deal.
Talent-wise, do you think Stark and Babcock is the best duo that you've had in your time at Pitt?
Yes.
Why's that?
I think that Izzy's going to be able, she's so strong that she can find her, at any place on the court, and she's able to locate from long distances. And I think at this, and Olivia being in her 4th year is able to terminate. So I think there is hardly a scenario where we can't score a point with those two.
Of course, she was the National Player of the Year a couple of years ago. It is quite a duo. Might we see them on an Olympic team, Dan?
I think that's obviously for the national coach to decide, but that is what the hype's all about. I think they both have a shot. If not this Olympics, and in the next one.
How about the new place? You're not getting in there this weekend. We'll talk about what's happening this weekend in a moment. But Victory Heights, I've heard incredible things about that. Your take on it? Tell us about it.
Yeah, you have. I've been known about this, this facility for 7 years, and so it's been a long time coming. And you're in all these meetings. You see it when it's going through the construction phase. And my biggest takeaway was the environment in game was better than I could have even imagined. It was incredible. And
this weekend you'll be in the Pitt, which I'm sure you're going to get great crowds because people love to watch you play, your team play. You have Kansas and Wisconsin. Tell us about what's happening this weekend. What's going to be like there?
The plan all along was to keep playing, some of our bigger games in the Pitt. Victory Heights holds a little bit over 3,000, and quite frankly, it's hard to, get a ticket there. And so definitely want, our Pittsburgh fan base to show out this weekend. And it is a chance to see some really, really top teams. We're excited to get things kicked off. And I think these are the kind of teams that, we're going to need to beat if we want to win a championship and make another deep playoff run.
Yeah, what value, Dan, do these types of games against these highly ranked opponents have before you get into ACC play? Do you try to schedule as many ranked teams as you can in non-conference?
Yeah, not only ranked teams, but just big environments. And yes, we do have, Blair Bayless, Izzy Starr. We have a lot of these returning players that have been in those moments. But, we had 3 starters. We had 2 freshman starters, and then 3 if you count our international. So we had 3 girls that, last weekend, it was just great to see that they didn't shy away from the big stage. And so this weekend will be another chance to, kind of see the newer players, how they do in the bright lights.
Couple more minutes here with Dan Fisher, who has taken the Pitt women's volleyball team to 5 straight national semifinals. Dan, I've asked you some version of this question a couple different times, but I think it's fresh every year. It's hard for me to believe with the success, the massive success that you've had here, that some of the historically successful programs, better programs in the country, in different parts of the country, haven't come after you to be their coach. Now, obviously, Pitt must have stepped up financially probably multiple times for you, but what else is it that keeps you here in Pittsburgh?
Well, you're too kind, and yes, this is college athletics, so opportunities have come. But my wife and I love this community, and it's, for me, it's the combination of a great place to live and a supportive fan base and administration. And a lot of the top volleyball jobs are not in places as great to live as Pittsburgh.
That's great to hear. And I guess the same question would apply with Olivia. I mean, obviously, other programs must have been highly interested in her, so you must be very pleased that Pitt stepped up financially, I would imagine. What else keeps her here?
Well, Pitt has definitely stepped up financially with our program, and big thanks to Alan for value in volleyball. This is we're in the modern era where not every sport is funded the same, and so we're grateful. And I think for Olivia, she's stayed because she loves this school. She likes playing for me. She loves her teammates, and this is I think this is kind of she's made her mark here. She knows that, and I think that's, I think this has become a really special place for her, and it's, I think she's going to be the kind of athlete that can come back in 20 years and people will still recognize her on the streets, and so I don't think you get that everywhere.
How has NIL changed for college volleyball over the last 5 years, Dan, from the first year that you made it to the Final Four to now?
Yeah, well, I think tremendously. I think, we are the top programs in volleyball. It's the exact same as football and basketball, where, we are dealing with a budget, we're dealing with agents and parents. And so that 5 years ago, there was not a lot of that, and now there's a lot of it.
Man, I'll say. And the other question, I think the obvious one for you, Dan, is that 5 straight years you've gotten there and you haven't been able to get over the hump. And I wonder, when you study that, when you sit with that, what is that like for you? Is it something that really, really bothers you? Or is it something where you look at the other side of it, like it almost reminds me of the team that I grew up watching, the Buffalo Bills, and as time goes on, you look at them going to 4 straight Super Bowls as unprecedented and remarkable. But I'm curious how it all sits with you and how you get over that hump.
So, yeah, I think two things can be true at the same time. You can be really proud of, as a coach, I think the thing you want most is to be consistently good and be in the, you can't win it unless you're in the fight, right? And so, we're simultaneously proud of, of the consistency of being there all the time, and simultaneously chomping at the bit to go further. And I think you kind of have to. Each year is a little different. There's it was definitely one of the years where I thought we were the best team, and that one probably stung the most. And other years where we probably maxed out and we're pretty, lucky with the talent we had to get there. And so I think each year there's been some takeaways, but I think this, having, this year with this group, I think I'm probably in a point where I really want to win it for Olivia and for this team that we have.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. We'll be watching very closely this season. All of Pittsburgh will be. I know your matches at the Pete, people go crazy for and go over there. So good luck this year, Dan, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan.
People should come out this weekend to watch your team.
Yeah, thanks for helping us spread the word, because both Kansas and Wisconsin have good fan bases as well. So we want them to know what Pittsburgh's all about.